Good day. I, Mark Maber, am interviewing Pearl Goodman on July 27th at 8 p.m. I am located in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and Ms. Goodman is located in Cliffwood, New Jersey. How are you doing today, Ms. Goodman?
I'm fine. And yourself?
I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay. I just wanted to start off and ask you a few questions, a little bit about your life, some of the things you've seen and gone through. You've been on this earth for how long now?
78 years.
That is a blessing, 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 blessing. Okay, so the first question I'm going to ask is, growing up in Boynton, Virginia, what sort of hardships did you face as a child?
I'm sorry, what sort of what?
Growing up in Boynton, Virginia, what sort of hardships have you faced growing up as a child?
Oh, growing up, the only hardship, I wouldn't really call it a hardship, was working in the fields because my father was a farmer.
Hmm.
And when we retired from our own farm, then we went to tobacco to work with the white folks.
Hmm. Okay.
And the money was nothing, $5 a day. Yeah, but to endure hardship, I can't say I really had a hardship. We went to school. We had our own house. We didn't live on a sharecrop farm, you know.
Right, right. And at school, was your school segregated?
Yes, yes.
So it was segregated.
Yeah, we didn't become integrated until I think the year or two after I graduated.
Mm,
Yeah,
okay.
but everybody had their own school.
Wow, wow. Okay, okay. And in school, what did you major in? High school? Any specialties, teams?
My specialty in high school was the subject that I loved the most was cosmetology and home economics.
Cosmetology and home economics.
Yeah, because I love to sew
Mm,
and and do hair.
okay, okay, I understand. Um, so growing up while you were learning to do hair and you were also farming, and you also said that your schools were segregated. Did you ever have any sort of issues with racism growing up?
No, I never experienced anything. Maybe my older siblings might have,
Mm,
because the first school that we went to, it was a one room log cabin. And I think it was one through the fifth grade, and we had one teacher. And we had to walk to school. And when we went to school, we walked through this white family's yard. We had to go through their yard to go to the path to get to the school.
mhm.
But we never felt any race. I guess they knew my parents. So we never felt any racism or anything from them. No,
Wow. Okay. Okay.
no.
Okay. And so, as you said, you went to school for cosmetology and
Hmm.
home economics in high school. Did you ever take your
Yeah.
education further?
Well, when I graduated high school and I moved to New Jersey,
Mm,
because I had won a scholarship in cosmetology.
mm.
So I went to the Scott's Beauty Culture School on High Street, and I completed my course there and had my license and everything.
And was that school primarily black, white? It was mixed or
It was it was primarily black.
primarily black? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And you graduated. Did you end up getting a job, taking a job?
Yes, I ended up getting a job, and I worked in a white salon. They had all the hairdressers were men, and the ladies were doing the manicure and the shampooing.
Mm,
And I was there for a while until I got married and started having children. Then I let my license expire, and after a period of time, I went back to school, and I went to Orange Beauty School, which was a white school, and that was mixed. That
mhm.
had all kind of students there, you know. But it was a
Right.
white school because I wanted to learn how to do hair from with the Caucasian, because their
What,
hair is much different from ours.
so the area that you were living in at the time, was that area primarily black or white?
Black,
Black.
black.
And I'm
Hmm.
sorry, could you just state the city that you were in at that time?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Could you just state the city that you were living in at that time?
Oh, East End, East Orange,
East Orange, New
East
Jersey.
Orange, New Jersey.
Okay. And you
Hmm.
said that it was primarily black. So what pushed you to want to learn how to do white hair?
Because I told myself that I wanted a shop where I would be able to do hair, all kinds of hair, and
Mm,
I wouldn't limit myself to just doing black hair.
mm.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
So I wanted to see how their hair, Yeah, it was an interesting course. And my teacher, she wanted me to become a teacher in
Mm,
cosmetology, but I didn't, I didn't feel like I wanted to be, I didn't want to teach it, you know. Yeah. And then
o-
she offered to put me up in a shop on Springfield Avenue. She was going to be the owner and I was going to be the little black girl running it. And I didn't want that. Mm-mm.
was the teacher white?
Yeah, she was white,
Mm.
but she
So,
wanted, black business was booming at that time. All
mm,
of the braids and the twists and all that stuff had come out,
mhm.
and it was a lot of money being made by the black shops.
Right.
Yeah,
So she wanted you to be the only person of color that worked in the shop, kind of like, the
the
token they
front
call it.
person to draw
Yeah.
black people. Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
yeah.
I understand. So after you graduated the white cosmetology school, got your license back, what happened after that?
Well, after I graduated in Orange from that school, there was a beauty salon on 4th Avenue called Patricia's House of Beauty.
Mm,
So I was working part-time with her. And after I got my license from the state board, um, she asked me if I wanted commission or salary. And I said salary because she said, well, why would you want salary and you don't have any clients? I said, that's all right. I'll get my own clients. I didn't want a percentage. I wanted salary. No, no, I didn't get salary. I got percentage. Yeah, not salary, because you can do a lot of work and I was only going to get paid a certain amount because I would have been on salary. No, I
right.
took commission. I took commission.
Right.
And I gathered my family and my church friends and people in the neighborhood supported me. And she had a daughter working there named Wanda too.
Mhm.
So they lived in Edison. So I was on 19th Street and I asked her if she would give me a key to the shop. So I would open up like 8:30 and 9 o'clock, and whoever called and didn't have a hairdresser, I would take them for myself. And
Mm,
that's how I built my clientele. And I
mm,
think I worked there maybe a few years. And then in 1998, there was a small shop right down the street from where I was working. So the lady owned it had died. So I met the landlord there, and it was a small shop. And I think the rent was like 300 and some dollars or something.
mhm.
So I went in there and I was so excited because I had always wanted my own shop. So when I went in there and I started in my head talking about where my station was going to be, where the other station and the sink and everything was going to be. So the landlord was started talking about the rent and the security. And he was talking, but I was so engrossed in what I was doing. And I said, "Oh, I don't have no money. I don't have no money." And they said, "Well, how you going to open a salon and you don't have no money?" I said, "God got plenty of money. He got plenty of money." You know, that's how I was so determined that I wanted something of my own. And I would think I was there for about 2 years. And then a larger place became available, still on 4th Avenue. And because my clients had grown, and I was also in sales with clothes and hats and jewelry and everything. So
Mhm.
when I moved to the larger shop, I expanded, and I had one lady, I think, or two lady came in, and we were sharing it, the salon.
Mm.
And I found that I knew that it was illegal to rent a chair, but when you're dealing with our people, sometimes they believe, I guess they figure if they don't make enough, maybe they won't cover their chair. They're not supposed to pay. So I said to them, you have to pay your rent in order for us to keep this shop going.
Right.
So I think when it began to fall, I think I got a light bill that was $600.
Mm.
So I said, now I can't pay the rent and pay this light bill, and nobody is paying the rent that they supposed to be paying.
Right.
And I think it was in 1905 or '06 or something that Yvette bought a house, 2005 or 2004.
And Yvette,
Yvette
Yvette
bought a house
is
on 19th Street.
Yvette is who?
My daughter,
Okay. Okay.
she bought a house on 19th Street, and she had a shop opened up in the basement. She had a room prepared, and
Mm.
it was just for one person. I didn't want nobody to have to work with me, so it was just one person.
Mhm.
So when I moved there, I didn't take all of the clientele because I wasn't legally in the shop
Right.
because it was in the house. So I took a selective group of people, and I maintained it until I think maybe 2014. I retired because I had got carpal tunnel so bad in my right hand.
Mm.
My fingers were always numbed, and I was afraid I would maybe drop the irons or something on somebody. And I said, no, it's time to give it. But that's my passion. Cosmetology is my passion.
Understood.
Yeah,
Understood. Very successful career to have your own shop, especially
yeah, yeah.
coming from Virginia in what the
Hmm.
1950s, and then taking it all the way up to New Jersey.
Yeah.
What could you say about New Jersey, Newark, East Orange, the places that you basically lived from the time that you got there to now, because you're still there?
Well, I guess leaving the South because the jobs there were like in farming and stuff.
Mm.
So I guess moving to the city, you're looking for a better something. You're looking for more than what you had, more than what your parents had.
Right.
So and sometimes you just have to say, well, how bad do I really want this? How far do I want to take this? I
Mm.
I still regret that I didn't have anybody to just carry on the shop after
Mm.
building the business. And it was a good business,
Right.
but I was spread it so thin, and then you don't have anybody that wanna just carry on the shop.
Mm.
I guess the young people that was working with me, they were satisfied just shampooing or giving a rinse or something because weaving had come in. And
Mm.
so the young people was interested in a lot of weaves and stuff. But my clientele was built from press and curl, old
Mm.
fashioned press and curl. And the young people who went to school, they didn't learn how to press and curl because that was not taught in school. No,
Mhm.
that was not taught. But the weaves and the braids and the nails, all of that was very popular.
Right. Right.
Hmm.
Okay. So at your shop, would you say that your workers were primarily Black?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, yeah,
Okay.
they were black. They were
They were
black.
Black and mostly women?
Most, yeah, women. Yes. Hmm.
What was the atmosphere like working with a mostly Black female clientele?
The atmosphere was great because I'm not going to say I was great, but I was a professional.
Mm.
So whoever worked with me had to be professional. They had to work like I worked. And in the beginning, I couldn't find anybody that wanted to shampoo. So Yvette, my daughter, she went to beauty culture school at night
Mhm.
and got her license so she could help me in the shop. But the girls that worked with me, I'm still in touch with them. And they were trained, whatever they got out of beauty culture school, when they came to work with me, I had to retrain them because I knew what I wanted them to do with my clientele,
Right.
and it all began in the shampoo bowl, because
Mhm.
kids today don't know how to shampoo. They wet your hair and put some suds on it and run the hand. They're not going to use elbow grease to scrub your head until it squeak. Because I had some clients that when the young girls would do their hair, and they would listen to see if their hair was going to squeak.
Mhm.
And if their hair was not squeaking, they would tell them, my hair's not clean. Because if they came to me in my chair for me to do the finishing product, if the hair even smelled like they needed another sudsing, they would have to go back to the shampoo bowl.
Mm.
So a lot of the times the girl would say, well, let's just do it while we're here. So she won't send them back over there. I didn't
Okay.
allow my girls to eat over the client's head. They couldn't chew gum.
Right.
They couldn't wear skimpy clothes. They had to wear uniform. They didn't have the belly and everything hanging out.
Mhm.
And people say that you get all the gossip in the beauty parlor and the barber shop, not with my shop. My shop was known as the church shop. And my clientele, they were more than just clientele. We had became like family. And even today, they still call me.
Okay. Okay. So we established that you owned a shop. Could you just give me the date that the shop actually opened?
2000 2000 it opened. I think that was when Obama was, no, it was the year 2000. I'm I believe it was in January or February. But when I moved to the house, that was 2005.
Okay.
Yeah, that was 2005.
So being that you've been in New Jersey now, you opened your shop in 2000. You moved there in
62.
1962. So
Hmm.
you've been over there for about what, 5, 6 decades? Um,
Yeah, between East Orange and Newark. Yeah.
right. So let's start off with Newark. What changes did you see in Newark as time passed?
Well, we owned a house. My husband and I, and my kids, we owned a house on Cedar Avenue. And when we first moved there, it was a mixed street with black and white people. But
Mhm.
as time went on, it changed. And then when I moved to East Orange, it was nice for a while, but then eventually it changed. Communities change,
Right.
the people
Um,
change.
I'm
Some
sorry,
of them
really
move
quick.
on.
What was the date that you moved to East Orange, or the year?
Huh?
What was the year that you moved to East Orange?
1980.
1980. Okay,
Hmm.
so the 80s hit. You moved to East Orange. You said that the community was primarily black, but it was nice. Everything was
Yeah. Hmm.
upheld, upkept.
Yeah.
Um, Tell me about the 80s specifically and changes that you, your family, and your neighborhood might have went through.
I didn't. My kids graduated. I didn't go through a lot of changes. I worked a lot.
Mm.
I never was a person that um sort of social life, so to speak.
Mhm.
That never interested me. I was so determined to be the mother to
Mhm.
my children, the best mother that I could be, and the example the best example that I could be. And I met a lot of children on 4th Avenue where their parents were addicted to drugs. And a lot of them became my children. I call them my children by another mother. And I spent a lot of time just with helping people. I always considered myself a servant, you know,
Right.
and I never looked to hurt. I've taken hurt, but I don't give hurt.
Mm.
And sometimes as you look back and you say, wow, why? But then again, when I look back, and I don't believe that I've missed anything that I said, oh, I wish I could have did this, or wish I could have. I have no regrets of anything that I should have done or that I wanted to do, you know.
Right.
But just living life one day at a time.
Okay. So in the 80s, you saw that there were a lot of children who were without parents due to
Hmm.
drugs
Yeah,
and things
yeah,
of that nature. We know the 80s was Ronald Reagan, crack,
yeah,
the whole crack epidemic.
yeah. Crack,
And you served
heroin,
as a
all
mother
that.
figure to a lot of children. And
Yeah.
at that
Whew.
time, I've done my research. You were actually divorced, so you were a single mother yourself
Yeah.
with raising 5 kids on your own.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's wow, wow. Transitioning over in a little bit into the 90s, did you see community maybe start to heal a little bit from the crack epidemic, or were things
Yeah.
still
Yeah.
okay?
At because I really wasn't familiar with 4th Avenue until I started working with at Patricia's House of Beauty. I You see the neighborhood decline. You see some of the young people began to move. A lot of them died. A lot of them went to jail.
Mm.
And then I don't know what year the Muslims moved in that area. Yeah, but that was a decline, even in the stores and stuff, you know.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Okay. Then let me just ask you one last question, and
Hmm.
thank you for everything for this interview. The
You're
final
welcome.
question I will ask, uh, today in New Jersey, you're currently living in Cliffwood. You
Hmm.
still go back to visit East Orange, I believe. What would you say about the modern day Black women that you see?
The modern day Black women,
Yes.
I um I see a lot of, well, you got positive and negative
Hmm.
with Black women. Um, I see more Black women going into business for themselves,
All right.
um, especially I wouldn't say the younger ones. The younger generation is different.
Hmm.
I think the generation that your age is different from the generation where your mother's age,
Hmm.
because the the age where your mother in that generation, they were about um, they were ladies, um, and they had friends that you could go out, but you wasn't sleeping with everybody. You had buddies, you had pals, you know,
Right. Right.
and the generations began to change. And I guess like everything else, when you with time,
Hmm.
everything changes. But I thank God that so many of the girls that I dealt with on 4th Avenue,
Hmm.
they are successful today with good jobs and everything. They didn't go down the road of drugs and having a lot of babies and everything without husbands, you know.
Right.
But they still remember my teaching and things that I told them, and I love them to death. I love them. I love them. and they're very fond of me, you know. And we shared a lot in that community.
Mm.
Yeah. And when I go back, when I go through the streets and everything, um, I still miss the people. Yeah, you miss the people because sometimes when you're around people for a long time, and it's like you're leaving your family. So sometimes when we talk on the phone, I can maybe only call two of them at the time because everybody want to talk so long, you know. So
Understood.
yeah, yeah. But I have no regrets. I have no regrets. Whatever you want out of life, just work hard for it. Stay focused. Don't try to compete with nobody else.
Mm.
Be your own person. Don't follow nobody. You know.
Right.
Mm-mm. And just trust God. Trust God because when I opened the first shop and I didn't have any money, and I said, now, when I told the man, God got plenty of money. When I went back and I called my nephew, Gene, and I told him what the rent was, and he said, Pearl, that's just chicken feed. That's chicken feed. So the next day I called him, I said, what you mean chicken feed? So I think it was 2 or 3 days later, I was still at Miss Patricia's shop working,
Mhm.
and he came in and he gave me an envelope, and it had 9 $100 bills. So I said, well, he said, take this and get started. I said, well, do you want a receipt? He said, no, I don't need no receipt. I said, well, I'm gonna pay you back this money, you know.
Mhm.
So him and his mother, Carol, and my sister,
Mhm.
they put the money up for me to open the first shop. And my sister Carolyn had looked in the newspaper and she saw some furniture for the shop where somebody was selling.
Right.
So Gene picked up the furniture and some of the chairs needed to have be recovered and everything. Put the chairs in there, and his brother Clyde came and he covered the chairs. And it was a little place, but it was mine.
Mm.
I had accomplished that, you know.
Right. Of course.
So it was good. It was good.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's awesome, Ms. Goodman. Again, I want to thank you for your time
you're
and
welcome.
thank you for teaching me so much and giving the interview. You did great, and that'll be all.
Oh, okay.